Perfect. So yes, before we go right into it, how have you guys been? I've not seen you in about 2 weeks. How's life been on your hand? How's life been on your hand? What's happening on your hand? How's your 2 weeks been? What's the good, the bad, the ugly? Something you want to share with us? How you guys doing? I can see Temu Talk where Adeke, Oluwa, Oturayo, Bumi, Awosola, Kende. People should appreciate Kende for being here. Kende has been with me all the throughout this session, so that she's still here. It's also sacrifice on her part. Trust me. Marvelous. Hi, Marvelous. Hi, Olamide. Hi, Oli. Our circle director for Lucky. I'm good to see you. Kalumi, Oluwashio, Famshio, Olashubumi, Praise, Ruth, Omolola, and Temitope. Yeah, I think Temitope is on 2 devices, which I don't understand how she's doing that. But yeah, how you guys doing? I'm going to need you guys to give me the energy that I need in the chat. Yay, Adeke, that's so exciting. First of all, congratulations on the new job. That's amazing. Really amazing. Ah, that's so nice. Yeah, and I can imagine the way it's been a lot. Sometimes we are also excited about new achievement that we don't realize that achievements bring responsibilities. Yes, achievement brings responsibilities. But yes, you can do this. You got it, huh? Well done. I'm not hearing from other people. I'm not hearing from other people too. You've been well. She also says she's doing well. Good evening, Temitope. Good to hear from you. Yes, I'm looking into the chat to see. Okay, Ruth says work has been demanding this month, but that's because I'm practicing building mastery. That's it. I kept thinking of this session we had and how new insight can shape the way we show up in spaces. Yes, that's the truth. Actually, you are my star. That's the whole point of this. There's no point spending your 2 hours in sessions every 2 weeks, doing assignments, doing this one, doing that one, if you are not putting the things that you are learning directly into use. Yes. Learning is not full learning if it's not being put into use. So I'm really glad that you're doing that, Ruth. Really proud of you. Olamide says it's been a resetting January. Yes. Hmm. I feel like my own February is what is going to be like that because my January has actually been extremely demanding. Actually demanding. I'm really grateful that I took my time to really rest in December. I'm now grateful because it's been back to back. Right, I've had interesting experiences in the last few weeks, and there have been these experiences that sort of happened fast and demanded a lot from me too. Shion said she had a mini retreat. It was great reviewing my guiding money principle. Oh, yeah, you did that. Amazing. I feel you had like plenty light bulb moments, right, Shion? Like, I'm sure you must have had plenty light bulb moments. Yes. Anyway, all right. I'm still looking into the chat to hear from you guys how you are doing. Last said she has also been plastering mastery and combining work with home, trying to look for peacefully and really restrained. Aww, everyone says she cried a little. That means he really touched, like it touched the place he was supposed to touch. Yeah, it touched the place he was supposed to. But that's good. That's good. And I'm sure that those kind of things shapes you. It shapes you going forward. You can't remain the same. And I'm excited to hear that. Okay. While I'm waiting to see from other people how they are doing, I'm going to move. And I've been looking at some of your questions concerning marriage. Mm. The questions are deep. First of all, I have to give people that. Like, they are deep questions. They are deep questions. Okay, Shubumi says she has also had she has a awesome reset in January, applying the things that she has been taught. Amazing. That's the thing. My goal is to work with people who are ready to learn and put it straight into action. And by action, sometimes all the action. Yeah. Anyway, back to my talk about So I've been looking into your questions. I think we received 10 questions from different people. Mm. One person had one person had 9 questions. Oh my god. 9 questions from one person. I saw some people had 2 questions, some people had 3. Um okay, so what I'm going to do is this is I'm going to take the questions little by little because some of them they sort of you can put them together. And also to ensure that I touch on different aspects because I know that we have a combination of people. We have people who are single, I mean like single, no, not in a relationship, not married. We have people who are single but not married, but in a relationship. And then we have people who are married. And I see that the question sort of has a little bit of both. So I imagine that I had the question from different kind of people. So what I'm going to do, what I plan to do is to sort of go through the stages. Take one question from like that sounds like single. Take one question from single in a relationship and take one question that sounds like a married person question and answer it. Do we think doing it that way works? Does that work so that at least I'm able to spread across as much as possible? Yeah, that would sound like a good flow. Good. What is giving me the energy I need? I need more people to give me responses. Like you guys already know my style. Like, yeah, I need to be sure that I'm speaking to people and the people that I'm speaking to are mentally with me because that's the important thing. I need you to be mentally here. So are we here? If you are ready to go, let me see ready in the chat. Are we here? Are we here? Yeah. Hi, Elizabeth. Good to see you, darling. Okay. Yeah, I'm saying be ready. Yes. Ready. All right. All right. Okay. I just wanted to be sure that I'm in the right room. Okay. Let me take it from one of the questions that says, let me see the one I should start with. I'm going to start with a single. So I think I should do two instead of one. For the single question, I'm going to take one of the questions. One question asked, how do I remain single without feeling pressured internally and externally? How do I remain single without feeling pressured internally and externally? And I'll put it side by side with another question. And this one is a bit of a longer question, so please follow me. The person is asking, a friend once jokingly mentioned that even if he felt attracted to me, it would be unlikely that he will marry me because my standards are very high. A girlfriend said to me that only my looks are feminine, but my personality leans towards a man's own, too independent, daring, etc. My dad was not fully supportive of my career path because he felt it would be too demanding when I become someone's wife. So I want to ask if I want to ask if we actually have limits as women, especially in a society like ours. Secondly, where should I draw the line for myself if I want to have a happy home? Is anybody feeling that question, the depth of that question in the chat? I saw that question, I really felt it. I felt it like inside me. Yes. I felt that question. Yeah. It was a very detailed question. Very detailed question. Very detailed. Mhm. I should read it one more time because I feel like, yes, very honest. Absolutely. Because I feel like just that question alone helps some people know the things that in their heart that they didn't have language for. Is there anybody here that that kind of question was, is somewhere in your heart, but you didn't have language for it? Okay. Yes, I should read it again. I feel like the person had language for a question that is in a lot of people's heart. Let me read it again. It says, a friend once jokingly mentioned that even if he felt attracted to me, even if he felt attracted to me, it would be unlikely that he would marry me because my standards are very high. A girlfriend said to me that only my looks are feminine, but my personality leans towards a man, so too independent, daring, etc. My dad was not fully in support of my career path because he felt it would be too demanding when I become someone's wife. So I want to ask if we actually have limits as women, especially in a society like ours. Secondly, where should I draw the line for myself if I want to have a happy home? Yeah, first of all, what should the person who sent the question, you know yourself, I don't want to mention names because I want to sort of preserve anonymity because I know people shared like very personal things, some of the questions. First of all, I should say thank you. I should say thank you for asking this question because it puts into language the question that is in a lot of people's heart that they don't get to talk about, that they don't get to talk about a lot. Okay, okay. That's um, apologies for that. So I was saying thank you to the person who asked this question. And first of all, to say to the person so that I get you. I get it on a level that is similar, maybe not exactly the same, but it's similar. Um, you know, to be honest, maybe I actually do get it on the level that is similar to yours. Because I remember that when I was in, I think final year, a very good friend of mine, he's still one of my closest friends till today. She also mentioned that, "Toyin, do you realize that you are so independent and you don't wait for anybody to make decisions for you? Like you are not that kind of person that is taking your decision through a committee of deciders. You know what you want, you have gone, do you understand? You've done it. You know what you want, you have done it. You are not waiting for permission, you are not waiting for anything. You are so, there was a way I think it was independent, she called me then. And I remember also that one of my brother friend like that, one of my brothers is what I'm going to call him, in my fellowship that time. No, this was maybe I'd already finished it. It was years after. I was already coming into my own. What I mean by coming into my own is that I was already growing to the woman that, going the journey of the kind of woman that I wanted to be. And it was being honest. It wasn't being sarcastic or trying to be funny or anything like that. I remember I told him that, do I know that I act or alty? Alty in terms of Haughty, something like proud, overconfident, and all of that. And why it was a little bit funny to me was because of the person that said this, because it was someone that was actually my friend. Do you understand? So he wasn't saying it from a place of maybe trying to insult me or anything like that. He was just saying it almost as an observation. And it sort of made me wonder if someone like Kim said that, the people were not close enough. What do they then think? And so when I was reading your question, it was all of those things that was coming back to my mind. I'm like, I can see where this person is coming from. And in your own opinion, where you even had like a dad, yes, a dad who sort of is concerned for you because it feels like you're doing things that is a little bit. But for me, and I'm first of all going to answer on a bit of a personal level, then I'll maybe share some thoughts. And please, if you have thoughts to share in the chat, feel free. Remember, I don't come into this session feeling as if I'm the only one that have answers. You have ideas too. So if you have honest thoughts, please, of course, use the chat and share them. For me, I think one thing that has helped me as a As a fiercely independent woman, that's not the word I'm going to use for myself. I've been fiercely independent for as long as I remember. I've been fiercely independent, very driven. I know what I want. I go after what I want. Driven is the same thing you're calling daring, I want to believe. Trusting. To be honest, I feel like the biggest thing that had made it easier for me a bit will actually first of all be my mom. My mom is the definition of daring. My first definition of daring. Our friends, our friends. My mom is I bet it was last week. She was 73. Yes, 73. So she has been with this game for a time. And we're talking about a generation that is probably even a lot more not open to women being daring than our own. Do you understand? Our male friends, when she was teaching them, our male friends used to call her a man. They used to say that she act like a man. You see why all of the part of the questions were they were touching a lot of things in my head. It was bringing a lot of things in my mind because my mom was has been is still fiercely independent, fiercely daring. She knows also what she goes for it. In fact, just what am I saying? Just last week, a 73-year-old mom was sharing a website of his school with me because she said she wants to do masters. She's 73. And trust me, that thing, she puts her mind to it, she's going to do it. My mom has been leading, she founded a church. The church is almost 20, maybe almost 25 years old right now. So she founded the church as a female founder at a time when you don't easily find female founders. Like a whole church. She's the founder of a whole church that has been existed for the last 20 something years. So my mother went back to university when she was already 40 something because she said she wanted to get a bachelor. She had an NCA, she had been teaching because she said that she insisted that she wanted to get a bachelor's and she went and she went to go and get it. I'm giving you that background to give you an example. Trust me, my mom is that kind of person that all of this what is daring, independent, you know what you want. She has been like that. She has done so. My mom is the first person I know that was a multi-potentialite. She was a teacher, she was a minister, she had multiple businesses, multiple. So in a way, it was difficult for people to convince me. Yes. Now you see the reason why I gave her the award. It was not just because she was my mom, it was because she was the first example of that thing that I've ever seen. So what happened with that for me was that it became difficult for people to convince me that I was whatever I was doing and however I was showing up in my life was not feminine. Do you see? Because in my head, female did not equal removing any part of my life. Because how do you want to convince me now? I literally have a mother who has again and again, by the force of her life, shown me by example that you can be a woman and still go after everything that God puts in your heart and your hands. You know why I'm giving you this example? Is that usually the first thing, and this is the reason why you do mentorships like this, because sometimes all you need is to have examples to prove every other thing that you are hearing wrong. And sometimes you might not have a lot, but you can just have a few to make you know that you are not crazy, to make you know that you are okay. Do you understand? Like, are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Because I personally think that when you enter into marriage from a perspective that you need to lock down your person one way or the other to be able to enter the marriage, either later or somehow, that thing will show. I don't think that marriage was intended to be I'm saying this thing, and I realize I'm trying to be careful because the conversation I'm having is not it's not an Aluta conversation. You know, Aluta consumer. No, it's not even a women's rights conversation I'm having with you. I'm not saying women can do everything. That's not what I'm having. I'm not even talking women should be able to do this. I'm not saying that. I'm saying all I'm asking is that we need to come from the perspective that it is okay to be true to yourself. Because what true to yourself will mean for different people will be different. What true to yourself will mean for someone else will be opposite to your own. That they don't feel the need to be that independent. They are okay. Do you understand? And if they're trying to be independent to show that they are not overcome by patriarchy, they will still be untrue to themselves. The conversation I am having is not women's rights, it's not feminism, it's just an issue of being true to who you are at the core. That's where I'm really coming from. Because the truth is that when you are not true to yourself, it will always show. It will show eventually. It will. That's first. But now to the part of the reality that there are certain ways that our society might be designed that makes certain women who need to be true to themselves in certain way that make their life maybe a little bit more difficult. Well, maybe not a little bit, maybe a lot bit. But why we needed to start from that true to yourself, why we needed to started this conversation from that perspective is when you are coming from true to yourself, it becomes it becomes a bigger thing to go after than to shrink yourself to fit whatever mood that people tell you women need to feel. So let me tell you a few things that I have found. First of all, the part of the question where you were asking, do women actually have limits? I'll answer you in a way that sounds funny because I'll say yes and no. No, in the sense that women are human beings, like any other human beings, who can go in the direction that is true to them, whatever that means. But I'm saying, yeah, so that's no in terms of we don't have limits. We are humans. When we come from a perspective, we are humans. But the reason I have to also add the yes is that as human beings, not as women now, as human beings have limits. We like to think that we are limitless and all of that. But that's an underestimation of our humanity. Part of knowing that you have limits is knowing how to focus on priorities in your season. Because even though you have plenty things in your heart, you can't do everything at the same time. That's part of what it means to have limits. So the limit I'm talking about here is not a limit that's about women. It's about limits that is about humanity, which is the reason why you then begin to prioritize. What should I do now? What should I focus now? Because the truth is that different seasons will fall into different things. Either you're a man or a woman. So the conversation is not an issue of women having limits. It's human being actually being humans. And the question we're asking about where should I draw the line is for myself if I want to have a happy home. I really need to talk about that one a little. I don't want to say this, but I could just see this in myself. Or any kind of marriage that calls your sense of person into question might not be the right kind of marriage for you. It not might not be, it's not. I say these things, I used to say these things with caution because I try to be very cautious when I talk about issues of human relationship and marriage and things like that. But I'm learning over the years not to be that cautious anymore. Because I'm seeing things that a little bit of wisdom would have prevented people in a certain direction. If you feel like you have to change yourself to be able to fit into a person's life in the bracket of marriage, personally, I don't think that person is for you. If you feel like you have to completely rethink who you are, how you show up, and all of that, just to fit into someone else's life, that's your answer. That's already your answer. Because eventually you'll be living another person's life. I remember that's why I started with the whole idea of the goal here. It's being true to yourself. It's being true to who God has called you. It's being true to the kind of woman who has made you. It's being true to the kind of path, the kind of journey that I have set you on. So if marriage begins to put you in a place where you feel as if you need to trade your person for the marriage, especially when you are still single, that already shows you that that's not your person. I feel like one of the biggest evidence of knowing that you have found your person is that you feel not just at peace with them, but at peace with yourself when you are with them. Did you catch that? Did anybody catch what I just said? Let me know if you did. Let me say it again. I say one of the easiest signs of knowing that you are the right person is not just if you are at peace with that person. It's also if you are at peace with yourself being with that person. Is if you don't feel like one way or the other, somehow, there's a part of you that needs to be hidden away. There's a part of you that needs to be twisted. There's a part of you that cannot show up fully just because for whatever reason it will not work with the person. That's already your sign that that's not your person. And yes, will it probably make your waiting journey longer? Maybe. It's not always true. Some people, God has designed something that you will not have to wait for long. You will find your own person. Yeah, but some people might need to wait a little bit more. And trust me, you will not die. You will not die. You will not die. Everything has never killed anybody. I'm already answering the other person's question. Where the person is asking, I think there's a person that was asking, how do I remain single without feeling pressure internally and externally? The internally part is the first thing. Is that you know what you are waiting for. You know what you are waiting for. One of my friends used to say something. I used to think that thing was very oversimplified before. I used to think she was oversimplifying it. Over the years, I'm realizing that there's a lot of truth in what she's saying. Maybe I may not say it the way she said it, but I get the heart of what she's saying. She used to say that on the day of your wedding, on the day you get married, the following morning, like the morning after your wedding, that you will know if you have entered into the wrong marriage or the right one. The first time she said that, I'm like, that's such an oversimplification. That's what she said. That there will be a way you will feel that you will know. And she summarizes it in two possible ways of feeling. On one end, you can feel like you just stepped into a wide open space where anything is possible. On the other end, you feel as if you just stepped into a cage that is about to cut down your feathers. That you will feel one of the other, either one of the two ways, or somewhere in between. And it already gives you a sense. Even if you have been lying to yourself all along, those I can change him and all of that. The morning after your wedding, there will be a sense of reality that will dawn on you. And when she used to say that, I used to sort of feel that maybe she's oversimplifying things and all of that. But I kind of see I see the point of what she's saying now. I see the point of it. Because somehow, funny enough, I feel like I felt like that the day after my wedding. There was a sense of rightness. That was not just something that was happening to me on the altar. It was something that was happening to me after everybody had gone. Do you understand? Like the party is over, everybody have gone, they sent you to the husband's house, and you are now in the husband's house. And there was a sense of rightness that I knew I woke up with the following day. Like that sense of I'm in the right. It was just the way she described it, that wide open space kind of feeling. If you have it, you have it. If you don't have it, you don't have it. It's just the truth. And the way I'm trying to answer that question is, yes, it might cost you to wait. to find the person who, whose person aligns with your person. Whose person feels like a wide open space for your own person, not a shrinking space. Do you understand? Yeah, and I think a while. And of course, that brings the question of how then do you wait, right? How do you wait without pressure internally? And I was answering that the first step, the very first step, is for you to even know what you're waiting for. Because if you don't know what you're waiting for, everything that comes around will put pressure on you. You do get. If I know I'm waiting for a yellow sedan car with plate number KYC 283, if I keep seeing plenty cars, Pajero, GS 460, everything passing, they all look nice, I can be under pressure if I didn't know that it was a sedan car that is yellow with this plate number I was waiting for. And this is where it becomes important to have a sense. And I'm speaking now particularly to believers. To have a sense. And when I'm saying sense, I'm not saying all those kind of where they say you need to receive the person ahead. We used to say those things back in the 90s. You receive the person ahead, you know the name, you know the color. I'm not asking all of that. But there's just a sense of the kind of man that you can see that God will bring to you. You need to have that sense. And these are conversations to have with God. I know what kind of person am I waiting for? What kind of person? What are the things about this person that will give me a sense of rightness? Your waiting will feel a lot less pressurized if you know what you're waiting for. And funny enough, you know why this thing is a little bit complex? This is what I'm saying, not complex. Why this thing is really crucial is that sometimes you will have to wait not because you are not getting offers, but because the offer is not the right one. And sometimes that kind of waiting is probably crazier. People used to think that the waiting that is difficult is okay, maybe nobody is coming, nobody's really coming to you. But sometimes in my own experience, I found that because I had a different experience. My experience was that different people were coming to me. And every time I went back to pray and thought about it, I just knew they were not the right one. Wonderful people who are my wonderful friends, people who are still my brothers today. But there was just a sense like there's a kind of person, and somehow there's something about this that doesn't feel like that person. Do you understand? You see that internal one, you see that internal pressure thing. It sometimes come because you don't even know what you're waiting for. Many people are just waiting for marriage as a concept. They are not waiting for the one that they are meant to marry. Do you get the difference? If you are not waiting for marriage, that means it's as if you are waiting for car. Any car that pass can look like your own. But if you know you are waiting for a yellow sedan, do you understand? That has this kind of features and all of that. It sort of begin to simplify things for you. So when you see the things that is not like it, you will know. Some of the people that came to ask me out those times were, you don't understand. They were not even like maybe people who think, other people think they're wonderful. There were people I myself thought were wonderful. There's a particular person who, if not because I just knew that now there was something that kept giving me a question mark. And the more I prayed, the larger the question mark became. And it was my very good friend. And I was honest with him. And that's another thing sometimes. We just like all these emotional. I was honest with him. I was honest. Like, guy, left to me, oh, honestly, I think we're good. We're good friends. We've been friends from secondary school and all of that. But the more I pray about this, the more I don't think we're supposed to be together. I've denied, I've said no to anyway, you don't want to know my story. Let me leave that. So that's the internal part. One of the biggest way to help you is to know what you're looking for. You have a sense so that when the person comes, no matter their physical appearance, how much money they have, you can there's that thing that say, oh, this is the kind of man. Is this kind of man with this kind of mindset, this kind of outlook of life, this type of outlook of women, this kind of outlook I think that you don't want to. This kind of outlook of women, this kind of outlook of what our life should be about. By the time the person is talking, it's jelly in your spirit that only is this person. Only that's the person. That's the person we're waiting for. You will know. But you don't even have, of course, pressure mawa. Like there will be pressure. Because everything that passes by will look like your own. It will look like your own. The external pressure part, mm, and some of the things I'm going to say here, you people might not like it. The first question I used to ask people is that where's the external pressure coming from? From friends? How do you have friends who are pressuring you towards marriage? That's the first question we should ask you. How do you have friends whose contribution to your life is pressure? That's the first question I will ask you. It's not why it's that how are you in a friendship that does not understand the that does not have a correct discernment of your life to be able to even wait alongside you. You don't get. That's the way I felt my friends felt. I feel like my and it wasn't just me, it was even my even me, I also did with my friends. We waited alongside each other. So that when somebody is in their life, even you can tell that no, it's not this one. Like and see you yourself, you know now. You know that this guy is not the one. When I was going to marry my husband, one of my friends were some of the people that say, okay, you can see it's this one. It's really this one. Because we were waiting alongside each other. We were carrying, do you understand? We had a sense together of the kind of thing we're waiting for. So pressure could not come with them because they were almost together in the same. Do you understand? I'm not saying they were together with me in that journey of waiting well. So if they are saying pressure is coming from outside, first of all, is it friends? Now, the question is not why are they pressuring you, is that how are you in the kind of friendship that is pressuring you? That's where we're supposed to go and fix. Is already she telling you either you were not so intentional about your friendships or you are just letting friendships happen to you. Like that thing will never make sense to me. It will never make sense to me that you are in. This was the question I asked somebody that was that was a family, well, yeah, a family member, someone in my husband's family, because of the time she was having to wait around childbearing and all of that, and she was talking about our friends with. I'm like, the question I was asking her, and I wasn't. It was after I said it that I was like, I hope she doesn't take offense. But that the question that was in my heart. Like, how are you in? How are they your friends, and they are the ones pressuring you? Like, do you know what friend means? It doesn't make sense. That's the thing. That means the entire concept of the friendship is faulty. That's first. Is it family members? You see that family? One way I learned to handle it was simple. I categorize family. There's some family that you don't even. Let me say this in Yoruba. Oh, le roju mi nle enough for you to be putting pressure on me. Does anybody understand that thing I just said in Yoruba? Please, can you hear me interpret it to the people that don't understand? Like, you don't even have that much access to me for you to be putting pressure on me. You don't have that kind of access to me. That's what I'm trying to interpret for you, Olive. Like, I put family in categories. There's my immediate family. I had to do was to sit them down and tell them the way I can see my journey towards this marriage thing might be a little longer than the usual. But you people be assured. I'm not, this I'm saying. I did it with my mom. I sat her down. I told her, Mommy, first of all, I need you to know that I will marry. I will marry. Don't worry. If it's this marriage thing, I will marry. I'm interested too because at the point people are starting to think that driven people start to look as if they are not interested in marriage. I'm interested in marriage. I will marry. I don't know how long this journey will take. And I was honest with her. I'm like, and I told her, there's only one thing I'm asking from you. I can deal with outside people who think they want to be putting pressure on me. But it's harder to deal with you because you are my man. I'm asking for you as a contribution is just join me in this journey as a partner, not as someone who is trying to put pressure on me. That's all I'm asking. When there's a man who is the right person, I will let you know. There's no need for you to be asking me every 2 minutes, every 3 seconds, every 2 months. Don't do that. I had a very honest conversation. People, this conversation with your family, though. You can. You actually can. Sit them down. Let them know where you are. Let them know what you need from them. Like, you guys, don't worry. If there's a guy who I think is responsible enough to command you people's attention, I will bring them. But until then, leave this marriage matter. Don't worry. You will sort it. Just join me in prayers. Join me that the Lord will lead me right. Join me. Do you understand? So you see how, so immediate family, I had real conversations with them. Extended family, you don't even have enough access for you to be now be asking me what is. You ask me like, okay, I already, you will not even see me again. It's as simple as that. Then the general public, those ones, I don't even I don't like. Do you even where do you want to see me to be having that kind of conversation with me? That's the question. I like where, how? Where do you want to be talking about it? The point I'm saying about external pressure is that number one, you man the external people who are not you, but who are close enough, you man the gate of those ones. You see the others, you put boundaries. Just put boundaries. People said things about me concerning this marriage thing to other people, but not to me. Yeah, about how they think maybe all of this thing that she's doing is the reason why she doesn't have time for man and all of that. They said it to other people, but not to me. None of them dared stand in front of me to say it. But somehow they say it to people who they don't know that eventually speak to me. And sometimes the funny part of this is that many of those people that say some of those things, they see me outside and they're like, oh my God, you're doing so great. I used to just look at them like, I don't have your time. And that's another thing. Another thing is, if you're so focused on the journey that you are taking, some things lose their import on you. So I don't care that yeah, everybody have more. You can say whatever you like. The point is that I don't give you room to say it in the place that it can become an issue in my mind. Do you understand? To some of you, all those extended aunties that are putting pressure on you, it's maybe also because every time you are in their house, every time you are there. Do you understand? You are putting yourself in the places that weakens you. Do you know that you are responsible for your life? You can put boundaries. You really can. You have, like, I feel like I should remind you that you have the right to put boundaries, to man the gates of the things that enter into your soul. You have it. You have it. You have it. And act like it. Some people are saying they are putting pressure on you. They're like, how now? Where did you see me to be putting the pressure? Uh, yeah, it's the person that you see that you'll be putting pressure on. It's the person you are talking to. It's the person who is chatting with you all the time that you use this time to be adding pressure. That's the thing. This is how I filter people out. I see the kind of way you're talking and all of that. I already know the place I put you. I'm still nice to you, but you don't enter certain inner circle. It's as simple as that. Because I'm responsible to man my gate. If I am not putting myself under pressure, who are you to come and put me under pressure? That you are what? That you are what? After what? Before what? Hmm. Yeah, but yeah, I've said a lot, but I hope this helps. I've answered the two questions. I've tried to answer the two questions together in the sense that no, you are not too much. Your own person who will see you for who you really are is going to be out there. And in fact, part of the person's work will help you to will be to help shape you to even be better. And sometimes better will look like losing some things. And this is the other side of the conversation that I like to have. But when you listen to the video, the recording, you will see all of that inside. Because I used to say to people, and many people think that there's a way that we have this flowery view also of marriage. There's a downside of marriage, you enter with a man and the man begins to shrink your life and all of that. But there's also this flowery view where people try to enter into marriage thinking only really thinking about themselves and what the man is supposed to have to them. So they only think of the man as almost like a tool to whatever life they think they want to live. They are not seeing that it's a person too. And that love and journey we mean actually sacrificing at some point, sacrificing for each other. That they will be integrating us to become one. Sometimes we mean each of us letting some things go and picking up new things that replace the one we let go in new ways. Some of these things will happen in marriage, but the way that that does not become shrinking is that you can see that you are with a person whose heart is large enough to see you and accept you the way you really are. Up until this point, what are you hearing? Before I take the question on marriage, the question of people in relationship, what are you hearing? What's standing out for you? Because I think we have a number of things this year. Before I start taking the questions on relationship, what's standing out for you? I'm looking into the chat too. Yeah, Ruth, I see that. Knowing what you're waiting for will help you stay grounded. Absolutely. Mm. Okay. I think it's also to be true to yourself rather than shrink yourself to a societal view of marriage. Absolutely. Okay. I'm waiting. Oh. I'm sure people have been listening to me now. So I'm sure they are also typing. So then they'll also be looking for the questions that I'm going to answer next. Uluwashen says, having a sense of what I'm waiting for. I think you can say, man your gate. Yes. I wish I can say that to a lot of singles. Like you have the responsibilities of man your gate. You have the responsibility. Yes. It's not even just a fancy thing, it's a responsibility. Yeah. It is better you can drastically reduce pressure ahead by having clarity conversations with your loved one. Yes, with this thing. Eh? This thing has helped me a lot too. A lot. A lot. Even inside marriage, you know those kind of things after you get married, people are already asking you, where will you give birth? I remember I think a couple of months after my wedding, when I was going to the US, I sat my mom down. I told her, you see this, I know that, of course, grandchildren and all of that, which of course, my mother does not even need grandchildren, we are honest. She already has nine. She has nine of them, boys and girls. In fact, the oldest one is 20, will be 23 this year. But of course, everybody, she is right for us as a mother to, of course, think of, my daughter is getting married, issue of how are you thinking about childbearing? I sat her down, I remember. I came to, but I was going to Lagos. While we were waiting for the taxi to fill up, my brother came to drop me. I sat down there inside the car and I told her some things. I told her this and this are some of the things that we are already seeing. This and this are the realities of our lives right now. This and this and this. And based on that, these are the ways we are thinking about childbearing. It might not make sense to other people, but I just need you to understand. And we had that conversation. And I told her, this is what I need from you. This is what I need from you. Part of what I need from you is that, yeah, we might not have children with these kind of things like 9 months. People are already praying for you in your wedding. See, after 9 months, you have children. We'll come and carry twins and all of that. Our story will not be like that and all of that. And I just need you to know where we are. And you do, and it helped. So one of those conversations where people asking you, when are you giving birth? They look at you as a married person and your stomach is round there and say, maybe you are pregnant. I wasn't have that kind of pressure from inside. And that's the people that matter most to me. And my friends, like I said, my friends are always waiting with me. So my friend is not even a place to be bothered about. Anyway, Slowly says you need to clearly define what you are waiting for and commit it to God. Yes. But honestly, I don't even think it's just about you clearly defining as if it comes from you. It's more about you clearly discerning. Defining sounds as if you are the one that is deciding what you want. Discerning is that there is someone, there's a kind of person who is right for you. And you don't even know, God knows, but you can begin to put your heart in the direction of those kind of people. Do you understand? It's more of discerning than defining. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's not just about you define that you're committed to God. It's that it comes all from God in the first place. Yes, that's what I know. So me says, please say speak confidently against external pressure coming up. Yes, so yes, yes, yes. Like I'm and I'm not even kidding. Like it will never make sense to me how people allow themselves to be put under pressure and things like this. God, I keep using that word allow themselves because sometimes it's you allowing it. It's you allowing it. Some people you shut them down immediately. Some people you just cut access. Simple. They just realize that certain things they don't get to know about it anymore. Finish. Easy and that's what I used to me, I don't even need to talk. You just access. And number two, to be honest, I don't have a lot of people doing that around me, to be honest, because maybe because I also carefully curate my inner circle. Know what you are waiting for, have a sense of kind of man you want. Waiting a few less pressure that you know what you are waiting for. The aspect of the romanticized view of marriage. Yes, it's a work of intentionality and sacrifice. All right, let's go to the relationship people question. And I'm seeing a recurring question. This time around, I'll put like three questions together because I'm seeing a particular recurring question. There's a question about readiness because two different people ask this. One person asked it this way. You say, at what point in your courtship journey can you say you're ready for marriage? Better still, what are the indicators for a Christian that it's time to get married? Another person asked it this way, how can an engaged couple know that they're getting ready to marry at the right time? Not just because of age, pressure, or emotions, but readiness. What are the key signs of readiness for marriage beyond love, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and financially? How do you differentiate between you are waiting wisely and you are delaying out of fear when it comes to marriage time? Basically, this person is asking the same question in like four different ways. The person is asking again, is there such thing as married too early or too late? How can couples discern God's time versus societal expectations? Similar thing. How do you know it's time to move from courtship to marriage? It's the question that all of this nice way that we have said is the same question that we're asking. How do you know it is time to move from courtship to marriage? It's answer I'm going to give you. And trust me, please believe me when I say that it's not because I'm trying to be, I'm not whining you, I'm not trying to be funny. It's that when it's time, you know, you might be fighting it. You might be, you might be fighting it. You might be afraid of it. You might be, what are the possibilities? You might be fighting, you might be afraid of it. You might be, there's another word that's in my heart. Fighting is one, you can be afraid of it. You can be, it might not make sense to you, but especially if it's a, like you said, Christian godly relationship, there will be a sense of rightness for both of you. And this is why I feel like if there's one thing demands a that demands growth in discernment for the believer, marriage decision is one of them. It forces you to know that because you need it. It's not just because of choosing your wedding date. You need it a lot, even inside the marriage itself. A lot. A lot. You need a lot. It will save you plenty stress in your relationship with your spouse. A lot. Some things, discernment just make it easier. So yes, to the people that are asking all of this question, see, if I try to answer that question on a strategic level, like okay, it is if your finances is here or here or here. The truth is that it won't look the same for everybody. It won't. And trying to put a formula to it is already me doing it. That's the truth. If I say you have to have done this, have to have done that, do this one, you must do this one, you must do this. The truth is that our life journey are different. They are. They are. So maybe the question to ask is, what do you do when you begin to maybe feel like you might be in the right time? How do you, maybe better way to ask it is that, how do you become certain of your discernment? Is there a better way is that a better way to ask that question? Because eventually it's about discernment. But also sometimes we're uncertain if we're discerning the right thing and all of that. Is it this? Is it that? And my first answer will be that you need to unearth your expectations of the right timing for marriage. All of us have it. We just don't know what we don't know we do, or we don't know. Like, we have not really had enough conversations with ourselves to know the expectations that we are carrying. The first thing is to even know, because the truth is that you have a sense of expectation of what readiness in terms of stepping from courtship into marriage means. And you have that expectation across multiple places, across multiple areas of life. There are people who feel readiness mean that you should have maybe gotten a level of education. Or people who feel that readiness means that you should have earned a bit. Do you understand? Maybe earned a bit, saved a bit, or you should have a job and all of that. And all of those things, the issue is not that they are bad or good. It's not about if should you have money, should you not. That's answer that question on that level is bringing it down. We need to start on the higher level. Is first of all, there already is an answer to those questions in your mind. You need to know where you stand first. And then you put your reality side by side with it when you begin to feel that you're in that sense where you're deciding the right time. And then you are honest and say, the question is, so you start to say things like, in my heart, I feel that entering into marriage, it makes more sense that maybe both of us have a job. But I'm beginning to discern, and maybe it's okay that one of us having a job is fine. So you then have honest questions to ask God. Because sometimes also we do our relationship with God as if he's a taskmaster, as if he's not ready to he's not ready to answer our questions. When we can go to him and say, Lord, I think that financially, what readiness means to me is that both of us are earning, or at least earning at a certain level, and we are not there. But I'm sensing that it might be time for us to start thinking about marriage. And I think this other person is saying it too. What do you have to say to us? Especially because this will be a fork of faith if we entering marriage when we only have a one family income. Do you see how the conversation changes? It changes to, are you ready or not? To, we don't feel ready, but there's a discernment in our heart that is saying at the time, Lord, how should we go about this? Do you see the difference? Please let me know if you understand what I'm saying first. Let me be sure that I'm not speaking over your head. You know, sometimes to be as practical as possible. What I'm saying, does it make sense to you? Please let me know. Expand a little bit more. Thank you. Any other person wants me to expand? It makes sense to you. Okay. So let me begin to say it a different way. Let me begin to say it a different way. So imagine that. Wait, help me to say this right. Because I personally feel like whoever asks this question is at this stage. This question, the person asks it in four different ways. So it gives me a sense that the person is at this stage. And the first question that I'm asking is not you trying to figure out what are the markers of readiness. The first marker is a discernment in your heart. Because not like there's no workbook for readiness. There's no workbook that says you tick it like this. Readiness means you have 100,000 in your account. You have this. If you are waiting for that, you will not do anything. That's the truth. If you keep waiting for that, you won't do anything. Because mine is a journey of faith too. You won't do anything. So what I'm asking to you to do, instead of asking what are the markers of readiness, instead of just asking that, I want us to first of all talk about this thing on a higher level of in your heart. Are you having that discernment that this might be the right timing? Because the person is asking from a believer's perspective, right? Is there discernment in your heart? That's the first question. That sense of, do you have that sense of discernment? Or the whole idea of timing and all of that, where is it coming from? Is it from a discernment in your heart? Or is it because your parents are beginning to say, you are 20 something, you are 40 something. Don't you think you should marry? Or people are beginning to say, you people have been together for 3 years, if all them are married. Do you understand? Where is the sense of the questions about time even coming from? If we are sure that it's coming from a discernment in your heart that you might be around, might be nearing the timing for marriage, then we now begin to ask the questions of the question should not be, are we are we ready or not? Is that in our heart we already have a sense of what readiness means. Of what have it. We say it sometimes, we don't say it sometimes, we don't ask ourselves this question, but it's there inside your heart. There are people here who have already you have a mental, it's a subconscious thing, but somewhere in your subconsciousness, you have told yourself you can never get married until you have done a master's. So if while you are in your first year of a master's program, you're in a relationship and you begin to discern in your heart that might be time, you will struggle because you had all of those things in your mind of what readiness is supposed to be. So you need to figure out what does readiness mean to you? Because this marker question you're asking, you already have answers in your heart. It's not about somebody else's own. It's to figure out what do you think in your heart of heart. What are the things you were expecting that you would have done, you would have had, and all of that before you enter into marriage? And if the whole idea of thinking about the time is coming from discernment, we then go to God and say, okay, God, I'm discerning my heart at my time. But this is what I thought readiness meant. And I don't feel ready in all of these areas. What do you have to say to me? So that your assurance of going into it will not be on the ground of I feel ready, but because, and I'm not trying to be spiritual. It's not just coming from a perspective of I feel ready, but because you have a stronger sense of faith, of an assurance that God is leading you to the marriage now. Because that assurance, you will need it. If it's just about you feeling ready, trust me, something will shake it later inside that marriage. I can bet you one. You can think you need money to get ready, and both of you need to have a job. And yes, you have the job, and 3 months into the job, into the marriage, you love the job. So what happens now? Do you see what I'm trying to say? What I'm saying is that I need to engage this thing on a more spirit assurance level than on just a trying to mark and tick boxes level. Because whatever box you think you have ticked, life can change in ways that untick that box. And once you already enter a place where you feel jittery inside your own marriage, it's the beginning of problems. Does that make sense a bit more now to you, Ruki? Does it make a bit more sense? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the timing question is not I don't want you to deal with it on a checklist level. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. That's the first way I'm going to answer it. The second way I'm going to answer it, and this conversation is a bit on the higher level.
Hi everyone. I think our network just went off. Let's just wait a little more and probably join us back soon. She will join us back soon.
Can you confirm that you can hear me? My internet tripped off for a minute. Hello, can you hear
Yes,
me?
ma. Yes, we can hear you, ma.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, did you guys, at least you heard all of the things I said, right? There was something else I was about to say, or at least you heard the first level, the whole finding assurance thing, right?
Yes. I think we're about
Yeah.
to move to the other level
Yeah, the second,
when
the other level, and this is probably high level too, but maybe a bit more practical. I mean, this is what I said is practical, but if you are thinking in terms of if there's any, even if there's any checklist at all that you should check, if like you want to even do checklist, my bigger question will not be how much money you have, which yeah, they are all nice questions. Do you have a job? Do you have do you plan to? Of course, raising a family is costs is capital intensive and all of that. It's not just that do you have a job, is that are you working in ways that can keep you making progress and all of that? Which yeah, that's a good question. Or maybe the new if there's a check me question I'm gonna ask, it will really be and I honestly like to ask the man more than the woman. And it's funny to me why people always it's very funny to me. I'm sorry for what I'm about to say. Like I'm sorry that I'm digressing a bit. It's always funny to me when we talk about marriage and the entire talk and sense of responsibility and all of that of the preparation is put on the woman. It's always funny to me. Because if you understand how marriage works, you understand that if the man leads well, the marriage becomes easier. And so I personally actually like to ask the man this question, not the woman. And my question is, I'm trying to find a way to say it. It's usually, are you ready to company with this person in a way that brings the best out of them, even to the point of giving unbelievable sacrifices on your own part? Let me say it again. You see that's why I say it's still high level. It's no money, it's no. Is are you ready to company with this? Are you at that state in your heart where you feel you have a sense of being ready to almost to work with this person in a way that makes their life better, even sometimes to a sense of sacrifice on your own part. It's almost like are you ready to share of yourself and give up of yourself to build someone else? Did you catch the question? Let me know if you catch the question. Let me be sure that my internet is safe. Yes. And the question is both ways. It's both ways. It's a question to ask the woman too. Or is your idea just a flowery idea of you can now eventually use a Mrs. title, or someone would now come for the man? Is your flowery idea the idea that finally someone will be giving you breakfast, lunch, and dinner as a woman? Is the idea that oh, someone will be now you can finally say you're somebody's wife, you can be doing couples go, you can kiss, you can have sex, all those kind of things. Yeah. Are you ready to are you in a place where you're ready to put in the work of building someone else, of partnering with God to build someone else? And the reason why it's okay to think about it this way is because if both of you are thinking about it this way, nobody is left on mute. Do you see? Nobody will be left on guilt. But it has to be a sense of, can you see this person? And are you ready to? It's that kind of thing, that question of Christ loved the church and gave up his life for it. Are you at that stage where you are ready to like give of yourself to be someone else? Because that's what marriage asks you to do on a daily basis. That's literally what you're doing. Is looking beyond yourself to contribute to the work that God is doing in somebody else's life. Again and again, in the little and in the big. That's the high level question I'm going to ask the person. Have you entered that place where your life is not just about only you? Because you can still be in a relationship and you are still in that space. I'm telling you. You can be in a relationship and your life is still really about you. So the other person is it's just kind of a tool to serve you. So everything is viewed from the perspective of how it benefits you. And yeah, the truth is that many of us have a relationship like that. We don't even realize, but we do. We do. We actually do. Don't worry. When you listen to the video, the live video of the other one, you see what I'm saying. Yeah. Are you in that state where you are ready to almost like be a co-laborer with God over this person? Is your interest, your love, your devotion, that's what I should use, devotion to that person has entered the level where you are ready to almost use your entire life to partner with God to build them in the direction of what God has for them. Do you see that? That kind of question, it puts you in a place that can quickly help you know if you are ready for marriage or not. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? If there are married people here, maybe they can attest. I cannot be the only married person here. Does this question make sense to you, please? I'm really hoping that I'm not sleeping above your heads and I'm not seeing any chat. I was asking, do you guys understand the question I just asked? This question I was saying that you can ask. Yes, okay. I know the person was also asking what are the critical questions every engaged couple should ask about time and decision making and work and children before walking into marriage. You see all of these things. If you answer this one that I've asked you, many of those things will become clear. Because really the work of courtship is really to begin to enter a place where you begin to see each other, not just yourself. That's the work of courtship. The real work of courtship, if you're doing it well, is that you begin to really see the person, know their heart, and develop a strong sense of devotion to the will of God over their lives. That's what courtship is supposed to do. It is in the heart of that we cannot be discussing matter of finance, matter of how many children. Do you understand? When you are beginning to see the person, you are beginning to know the person. And when I say know the person, not just know their character, but also have a sense of what God has for them, a sense of a almost like a vision of where they are going and where you are going together. And you are entering into a higher level of devotion to see to it and partner with God that they get there. That's when you are beginning to know you are getting there. Because that's the work of courtship. That's the work of courtship. It's in the heart of that we are now building the whole question about how many children do we have, where we live. All of the questions of where we live, all of that, we make sense when we are thinking of it from that perspective where we are devoted to each other. I'm devoted to you. So the question is not where can we live that pays my career? Because if I'm devoted to you, I'm thinking about you too. Do you see? It's almost moving away from individual to become a team. That's the work of courtship. That's the work of courtship. That's the entire work of courtship. It's coming to see the person. to know their heart, to know God's plan for them, and entering into higher level of devotions to be the biggest co-laborer with God to bring them there. It's work of coaching. And there's a time you get to, because the first level that I answered you was a part of the spirit testifying in your heart. But the scripture teaches us of in Romans 8 about how we know that we are children of God. It said the spirit witnesses with our spirit that we are the son of God. So there's a part of your own spirit also witnessing. But the witnessing is not we have enough money. Is that I am in a place where I am ready to devote my life to this person. Yes. So usually when that discernment is happening in your spirit, the realization is this realization should be happening in your mind too. So those two will be going hand in hand. That's how you know you are ready. So we can't be talking about this question on the how much money do we have? Are we all of this one, they will find root in this one. Does that make sense? Because some people will get married at a time where you look as if they don't have enough money. But that's the time that God has designed because the kind of commitment that they have for each other will bring God the money they need. Hmm. Yeah, I just say my heart is, I'm saying very deep things. And I truly just hope you are catching it. I'm taking the conversation away from the kind of ways that people talk about these things on a branch level to more deeper things. Because the truth is that branches, they are like leaves, they fall, they change color. That's the truth. But the root is actually what keeps. Okay, let me move. I've answered many other questions that this person was asking, a number of people that were asking. Let me move to the let me move to the married person. Let me find one or two questions for married people. Um, hmm. This person is asking, what is the purpose in marriage? I love it because the person did not say what is the purpose of marriage. Because I'm not planning to answer that question, purpose of marriage. You find your own. I'm sorry. There's a general one that God has already shown us. He brought us to be fruitful to multiply God's kind, right? But the idea of what is the purpose in marriage, take the conversation to a very interesting level. And then there's another question that I said I was going to ask. Mm. There's another question I was going to ask that I thought was really, really good. That was a marriage question. I don't know if the person that sent it is married. I'm not sure if the person is married. It might just be a single person that asked it, but I think of it as a marriage question. Yes. He said, I want to understand what submission really is and what it is now. Ah, the way that person answered that question make it sound as if submission have changed. He said what it really is and what it is now. Hmm. I wish I can have a bit more of a private conversation with this person because I'm sensing someone who feels that maybe our 21st century context have changed what submission means. That's the vibe I'm getting from this. It's almost as if the person feels like our 21st century context has sort of caused some kind of change. Some kind of change to what submission is supposed to be, which I find that really interesting. But I don't blame the person for saying that. I don't blame the person for saying that. It's because most of the time when we teach submission, we teach many of these issues usually on the branch level. And the thing about branches, for people who live in a place like in the West, you know that leaves continue to, branches and leaves and things like that, the way they look continue to change per season, right? In the fall, root, I think root is in the US, right? Oh, what it is not.
Yes,
What it was not. Yes. Okay. The person has corrected that it is what is not, it is what it is now, what it is not. But what I'm saying still, it still counts though. So I can continue. Would you I was asking if you were in the US
Yes, I
and you were
am.
saying yes, you were. You can confirm that trees, the branches and the leaves, they change the way they look every season, right?
Yes. Now
In
there
the
are
fall,
almost no
there's
leaves on the
nothing there.
trees. Hmm.
Exact. There's a season where they don't even need to be there. There's a season where they all begin to look white. That's the springtime when they are budding again. There's a season when all of them become all of those green and all of that. There's a season when they begin to become red and yellow, fall season. But
Yes.
in the midst of all of that, the tree stands. The tree stands. And yes, thank you for helping me to understand what you were saying, Bumi, for asking that question and for helping me understand what you're saying. But what I'm saying helps because I, I, I need you to engage. And this does not, it's not just about marriage, not only about submission and all of this. It's basically everything in life. To have this inquiry posture that looks for roots, not just branches. And if you have noticed, most of the ways that we've gone about mentoring in emerging circle have been that kind of thing. Most of the time, when I say I want to talk about money, you probably will initially think I was going to come and talk about how you make money. In the level of what kind of business you do. If you do business, you do career, you no. Because most of those things, those decisions, they make more sense. You begin to know what they should mean for you in different senses because they can change when you know the roots in the first place. So, first of all, the first thing I like to say hmm, is to remind all of us that submission is a Christian thing. It's not a cultural thing. So, yes, that's why I needed to start the way I started. Because a lot of people are questioning what the definition of submission is. It's because most of the way they've been defined on branch level. And just the way season changes, time changes. So if you define it on branch level, what you used to define it as is that the person comes, bring the food in a nice plate, kneel down while the husband is eating, which can be submission. If that's how you define it, so a 21st century lady who is actually working, who is not even at home when the husband is eating lunch, what does submission then become for her? That's why we cannot engage it on that level. But yeah, back to what I was saying. The first thing, like I was saying, is to remember that submission is a Christian thing. It's so important to start that way. It's so important. It's so important. It's so important to start it. Because one of the things that have happened with the matter of submission is that we have appropriated it as if it's just a cultural thing. It's not. It was godly women that was told to submit, not all women. When Paul was writing all of those Ephesians, he was talking to Christians. And it's important to start that way because part of the problem is that we keep trying to make submission a cultural thing and we ask everybody to do it. No, no, absolutely not. If you're not a believer, you have no business with submission. You don't. They didn't ask you to do it. It was not meant for you. Because it takes a person who is submitted to God first to submit to his design of marriage. So one of the biggest fights we are first of all having is that we have formation is one of the biblical concepts that we try to appropriate in the world. And of course, we keep running into issues. You can't carry submission as a concept into situations that is not guarded. You can't carry God's concept of submission and put them into context of people who are not submitted to God, and it will not come out looking like oppression. It will. Because there's a kind of man with a kind of heart that it is safe for a woman to submit to. We don't get. There's a kind of man with a kind of heart that it becomes safe for the woman to submit to. And that kind of man, the first most important thing is that godliness is submitted to God. Simple. It's not like he goes to church, he's submitted to God. Because really, submission on the woman's part. It's not about the man. I hope it's not first of all about the man. It's about being submitted to God. And that's what sometimes when you read Ephesians 5 and all of that, it's always amazing to me. How we end the conversation of submission only on wife submits to your husband, right? But we don't realize that conversation continues. And he said, husband, do what? Love your wife as Christ loved the church. Because it's that kind of husband that the submission that the design that God had in mind for submission can work for. So the first thing is not even first of all to define it, is to define the context in which submission is supposed to function. If that context is removed, the entire thing changes. It changes completely. It changes. And the second thing, like I was saying, as I already started talking about that, is that we need to understand that the submission is first to God. Now, you already know when I'm talking submission, I'm talking about Christian women. Because I already said submission is for Christian women. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. So there's no need for... Sometimes when people on Twitter, people who are not necessarily believers, drag matter of submission, the first question in my heart is that, God, they did not ask you to do this thing. The real problem was that people are permitted into culture. You can't take just that thing out of the Bible and put it into culture. Why not taking the godliness that's supposed to be like a context around it to safeguard it and ensure that it becomes the tool that is supposed to be, the tool of godliness supposed to be, not a danger, not a tool of violence. Do you get? That's first, the context of it. The second thing is the idea of submission is actually first a godly idea. And there's a scripture I really like to use to explain it. It's a I like to explain it. And it's not even Ephesians 5. Ephesians 5, everybody already knows that one. And like I said, you can't just pick that one verse. You have to talk about the kind of husband that the wife is supposed to submit to. But that's not even the one I want to use. The one I like to use is 1 Peter. It's 1 Peter 3, where they now give us example of people who did it and what it meant for them. 1 Peter 3, I'm going to read it. It started with be submitted to your own wife, likewise be submitted to your husband, blah, 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 like that. But what I really wanted to say is in verse 5. And if somebody can help me put it, you can help me put it. Verse 5 and 6 is really my good. Because they were giving us the example of Sarah. But they told us something about that I feel like the conversion of submissions, when you put it into cultural context, doesn't always talk about. He said, for in this manner, I'm reading from NKJV, I'm reading from my scripture of life. He said, for in this manner in former times, the only women, no, you people, you have to put this in the chat for me. Put this in the chat for me. Because you have to see what I'm reading. You have to see it. Someone put it in the chat for me. 1 Peter 3, 5, and 6. It has to be in the chat. Nobody has been able to put it in the chat. Thank you. Thank you. Good. So if you look at it, you see the way that thing started. I like the way people are giving me different versions. Awesome. 5 and 6. You see the way that conversation of commission started. He said, for in this manner, I'm reading NKJV, for in this manner, former time, the only women who did what? Trusted in God. You have to start that way. Trusted in God, also adorned themselves, being submissive to their own husband. Do you see that submission was an expression of something? It was an expression of trusted in God. Yeah. It's such a key part of this conversation. Because when it comes to submitting, the person you are trusting is God. It can't just be the man. You don't get. Submission is not about looking at someone and feeling like, oh my God, you're so nice, I trust you. Your trust has to first of all be rooted in God. And the fact that He can take care of you and He will take care of you. When you are rooted in that, and then He tells you to say it, you do it because even first of all about the person you are doing it to, but because the one who sent you, you are confident He will take care of you. Let's continue. It says, as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughter you are, if you do good and are not afraid with any terror. Let me read other versions. NLT says, whose daughter you are, if you do good and are not afraid of any terror. Okay, NLT says, you are daughters when you do what is right, without fear of what your husbands might do. Did you see? So if you think that your biggest problem in submission is if you put your life in somebody else's hand, did they not do something? You are not the first person. As far as Sarah, women, godly women have been thinking that way. And that's how they addressed it right now. They said submission can only work when you trust in God to the point that you don't fear. NLT says, when you do what is right without fear of what your husband's might do. When you understand that this submission that I'm doing, this means, and you see, in all of this, I have not even started defining yet. You see, it's deliberate. Because you need to understand the context in which it functions. Submission is almost like fish, that it has to be in water for it to be alive. If you put that fish on a tree, you will kill it. It becomes a rotting thing. And that's what many of us are doing in the matter of submission. We take it out of the context that God designed. The first context is the fact that we're submitting women who are dealing with godly men. Number two is that the concept of it is first of all rooted in a trust in God. Submission is just an expression of a trust in God. A trust in the sense that at the end of it, it is God who has authority over you. That the authority of the husband is a delegated one. That even he will account for. It's a delegated authority. And that's why you will see examples when you're looking at places like Abraham. You see how Sarah started to have issues with Abraham. And Abraham did not, because last Ishmael was still soon. What did God tell you? Listen to your wife. It was God defending her. Even when Abraham, because sometimes godly men, the fact that they're good, they're still young. When Abraham wanted to go and die, he was trying to save himself. I went to go and say, okay, tell them that you're my sister. And Pharaoh came to come and take her. Who came to defend her? God. The fact that Sarah went shows how much he was talking that God will defend her. That's what I'm saying. You can't do this thing, first of all, if you are a Christian. So this is not meant for me. Number two is that this is really a matter of trust in God. It's not just in the Bible. Because that's what is in the Bible. They see the idea. Only me, still, you can, yeah, just make God woman is still woman. You know, say we have your own school spend the marriage. I be showing you the side of you that you never makes. So the idea is that the idea of this to is synergy. But why you are, of course, navigating, because of course the humanity will show up. God Himself is the one that is. Please, can you still hear me? It can't hear me. Please confirm you can still hear me.
Yes, we can.
Absolutely. God Himself is the one that is safeguarding you. God by Himself is the one that is safeguarding you. He's the one that is putting His guardrails behind you, ensuring that you are safe. Not even you. So when we settle the fact that first of all, the mission is going to be Christian women. Number two, that it is really first of all a matter of trust. It's a matter of trust. It's meaning that you keep safe. Because I think that the fear of submission is safety. The safety is the idea that one is like submit, the way we think about it, like fully giving that, myself to this person and all of that. Will I bear this happen? Will I be used? Will the fact that I let go of authority be abused? And when you know that the trust is first of all, you know that the trust is very well in God, and you keep dealing with that nonsense, it changes everything. So the question then is not a solution, right? Because that's the question the person has asked. First of all, I've said the context. If you ask me, first of all, let me just use the theme of this scripture that we have used first. Then I also try to answer it maybe in a more practical ways, not how I found. There's a particular version that said it in different ways. There's a particular version that's talking about authority. Yes, I like the NRF. It says accepted the authority as the husband. This is what they say. That's the person to fix it. Is accepting the order God created for marriage. Is accepting that order. And the way I really like to say it, because sometimes people struggle that, okay, if I'm submitted, how are we there equal and all of that? Remember when we were in secondary school? I hope this happens to you, happens to me in secondary school. Where you'll be in class together, and then there'll be like a class captain. I mean, was there any class captain in this place? Anybody that was class captain? But at least you had class captain. Anybody had class captain? I think I'm talking primary school now. I don't know if there's something class captain. You have to have class captain, right? Okay. So you are your class captain, you are colleagues. You are colleagues. There's a class captain here. Nice. You are the class captain. But there's a sense of responsibility that they put in the hand of the class captain that make it sure that if there's something that needs to be addressed, the teacher handles the class captain first. And because of the responsibility, they also need a level of power. Because they will report, they need to have authority to be able to ensure that they are able to guide things in the direction of what they were told to do. Let me say that again. Class captain is your equal, but they have authority because they have responsibility. Your classmates, that the work of class captain put authority upon them because he also put responsibility upon them. So they are responsible to ensure that, for example, the class is neat. So if they come into your class and the class is dirty, who do they call first? Who is the class captain? Because sometimes now the class captain will chop the cane. Because everybody expects that they're supposed to be the one to ensure that that was done. So because they have responsibility, they need to have authority to so that they need to say, you and you sweep on Monday. You and you sweep on Tuesday. Do you see that the authority is not a sense of, it's not a sense of them being better than you or equal with you or higher than you. Just a sense of they were giving responsibility. And the way to be able to deliver the responsibility is not authority. So the whole idea is accepting that is accepting that is your friend, though, but not your class captain. So if he tells you to sweep the floor, he's not telling you because he's trying to form power over you. It's because they have the responsibility to keep the class. So they have to have authority to be able to tell you to do that. Do you see? That's what we're talking about. And that's why you can't, why I keep saying that. So being in the context of the godly marriage, it's a man who understands the responsibility to love a woman as Christ loves the church. And the thing that Christ does to the church, remember, is that he washes her by the water of the word so that he can present her without wrinkles. Remember, without wrinkles. Remember that story? Remember that thing in the Ephesians side? And that's why we can't read that solution without reading that thing. Because they explain. So, a proper husband has a responsibility to present his wife and his family, the entire family to God without wrinkles. It's responsible. He has responsibility to ensure that the word of God over his life, over his family, his finances, and because it's responsible, he has to organize it. He has to be able to see that this is where the Lord is calling us to. And I'm able to tell you, I think you should be doing this direction. You might not see it. I will understand you. So this is not an issue of equality or no equality. That's why the Bible said, tell us that we are equal heir of grace. That's why it doesn't change each other. It's not about I'm under you, you're under me. It's about order. It's not it's not an issue of order. It's order. It's order. Is that you can't enter the class is dirty, and you want to ask everybody, you want to call me phone. No, you can't class captain. Somebody has to be responsible. So submission is really, really about accepting. It's knowing that the way God designed it is that He made the man, the class captain. Even when He made people to be co-equal heirs of grace, He made the man in his own wisdom, for his own reasons, the class captain. So the man has a set of responsibility to deliver a family, a wife, children, who are the way Christ was delivering the church without any increase, who are made perfect according to God's will. He has the responsibility to move out to them. You see, this is the reason why this submission thing, it has to be set in the context. It's the reason why you cannot marry someone that you don't genuinely believe the understanding of God's vision over your family, over even you as the wife. You can't marry someone who cannot see, who doesn't have the sense of where you give. What God is trying to do with you. And why He's trying to make a perfect person out of you. When I say perfect, that job to heaven. Because if can't even see his responsibility, then what does he have? What is he even your authority for? The last one responsible. It's not the word of an husbandman. It's to tend, to cultivate. And that's what we see. Remember, when God was coming to come and address the fall of man in the garden, who did He call first? The man. Because it's about responsibility. He's supposed to be the one to ensure that that kind of thing does not happen. You see? So submission in this context is really about accepting this. It's really about accepting the authority. It's accepting the design that He must design. He designed in such a way that the man was not the class captain. But the goal and the responsibility is still about everybody. And so the idea is that you're supposed to work with Him in a way that ensures that His responsibility gets fulfilled. Because responsibility is about both you and the family that you're bringing together. It's about submission is really about working with the man in a way that ensures that you can stand and the day they are calling us class captain. And does not have to do his hand like this and we do. Do this. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why we can't be having the conversation of submission, the emotion of the husband of God when we are not first having the conversation that I know the husband actually sees responsibility. Because authority without responsibility becomes violence. Authority without responsibility is violence. Responsibility the gap for people is frustration. If there's somebody insisting that you are the team lead and you must ensure that everybody does the job, but yet you don't have authority to call people to order, it's frustration. But somebody not tell you are over everybody, but they don't give you any responsibility to ensure to. Of course, you do them anyhow. It's violence. So you see that submission is not, it's not even about the action. But the person is asking those submission. It's not about action. It's not about you are kneeling down every 2 minutes. You are saying yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir. That's not what it's not that. It's not the action. It's a thing of that thing. You can accept the demands of poverty because of the responsibility. You can accept it. But I'm not designing this man that I am working in the confines of the day-to-day of knowledge. You design in such a way. You need to do this. And the second that we need contribution. So others. Do you understand? The character is still my friend, is in the person. In fact, my work is to ensure that everything is done properly, such that the day is standing, it can stand with pride because everything was done well. Do you understand? I also need to make the person have authority so that the responsibility can be done. And I'm going to bring this with the way one of our moms, one of my friends mom used to say it, one of our many like that. She used to say that submission is in there. When the man is doing the work you're supposed to be doing. And if I understand that well, what she meant about that is a man who understands the responsibility of loving as God of the church, giving himself for one another. So usually becomes something that it's not even just about joy for anything. Maybe it's easier in terms of because we are dealing with the flesh. Flesh will always drag you. Even when you know the person is, oh, I didn't even tell you to do this. I used to think that what makes submission hard is that maybe maybe the person is trying to do you bad, so you can't submit. And that's why because I underestimated the fallen nature. Estimated what that's like a flesh. I can see now. It's just doing me like, why are you telling me what to do? Why? Why are you telling me what to do? And I'm drag and drag. Yeah, and when go down to call me and say, "Auntie, do you see that this matter is not even a matter of is the guy good or is he bad? Is that you yourself, you have a dying daily, killing off the flesh we want to do. And if you have a good man who is doing his own and you're frustrating him because there's just that evil part of your flesh that refuses to accept this. And that's why you guys realize that submission, that's why that NLCC makes sense. That submission is not that. Is accepting the effect. Yes, madams. I'm actually doing. So now I also have to leave. But all I'm going to ask you is what stood out for you in this session? If you feel like your answer was not, your question was not answered, trust me, the replay that you have from last year will answer many more questions by the time you watch them. By the time you watch the video, there's just one video. But up until this point, what is standing out for you? So you can say goodbye. Or what has stood out for you? You've had a 2 hour session. What has stood out for you to this point? Look at it. This is the point where I don't mind if you use the mic. You can use the mic. Lots for me. Because I want us to make this fast. Okay. I think someone said first Peter 3:40 is just good. I'm glad to hear that. Reactions also sometimes supposed to have posture. That's something what order here. Control and expression of customer. Yes. Yeah. This is a feeling. You can have this. You guys, I'm missing you. So I can wrap this one. I need to go. Hello, you. Baby. You want to share with me, though? Nonsense. I don't want to sleep with all this noise. There's no decline in my life. All right. Or whoever is still typing, whatever you're typing, if you could please put it in the WhatsApp chat. As you have to do. Thank you for the rest of the video. Really, actually, I'm glad you did. Thank you so much, you guys. I'm actually happy. It's about us. It's just a check it out. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and I know that in the next couple of weeks, not couple of weeks, next couple of days, our functions will be emerging, will be sitting emerging in the annual award. We will start. I'm going to trust you. Help us share people around you. It's not good shit. Even when these people around you, you really choose to succeed. And in six, and if you look at our actual identity songs, we can do something like that. I'll give you more information. So I hope these are very, very useful for you. That is the information I want you to put into your friends and all that stuff. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.